We start in the night in Dreamland, a place full of different inhabitants which mysteriously some went missing without trace and all but to find out how they missing. Strange and confusing. A lot of people try to figure out where are they and how did they disappear. And yet there was no evidence. Like they were vanished all of a sudden. They got kidnapped. Others suspect an alien from another planet took them, etc. But in the end, they were led to nothing. Makes a lot of people went insane for how confusing and messy it is. You then see Popstar's beloved hero Kirby, who is very tired after searching out of Dreamland to find the people of Popstar for a week and a half, and he goes back home to take another good after another failed attempt to meet the people of Dreamland. Even yesterday, Popstar now sends people from Waffle Wafers to Nutty Noon. He went from just Dreamland to the entirety of Popstar. Anyway, Kirby was once again glad to return home asleep again. But then he noticed a mail in his mailbox. Kirby wondered what was inside his mail, and when he opens it, he received two things. One, a letter. Kirby can't read, so he was never taught to, but what it say is interesting. We don't know who we are, and we don't know you either, but we need your help to save everybody, including your world. You have two missions. You have to do when you arrive at where the mail was sent. Find a flower, find the angel. The second one was a VHS tape, but unlike the letter, Kirby knew this as Dee taught him that, and said he has a TV and a VHS player. Don't ask. He put it in and then sits as the TV plays the VHS tape. What he saw was a man saying that Kirby was about to see the most incredible doll ever created. Say her name was Poppy. He said that Poppy was the first and true intelligent doll in the world. A little girl gives her a question. Poppy gives her answer. She is the first doll to actually have a conversation compared to other dolls. At least at the time the VHS tape was released, which was recorded for. Kirby was confused on what he knew, but this man replied to Kirby's confusion. So it's pre-recorded video and not directly talking to Kirby to clear things out. And say, just watch. Then it shows a commercial for Poppy Playtime and who she works this time in action. And Kirby was still confused, unfortunately, and after the commercial, say that the newly founded Playtime Spring Tour guy see how they make toys. Kirby was kind of interested in it, but the man said he come visit the factory a weekend, then flashed into 5 images of weird creatures killing. There was a lanky beast that was charging, looks to be a spider-looking creature, grabbing people up for a creature that was spitting some sort of gas, and two unfamiliar creature. One was a humanoid that is hard to tell, some kind of bird, although called commonly it into an arm. Then comes to a catwalk to a wall with a flower paint. Kirby noticed the same as in the letter. Kirby was oddly confused with all this, but before Kirby went to the video, after the video ended, suddenly his TV burst a red flash to Kirby. A screech is happening after. Quickly recovering from the flash, Kirby was scared, but before he hid in his bed, he hears a voice that's saying, find a flower and find the angel. Back and forth again, and he sees the thing was showing a silhouette of the doll Poppy. Before he stopped hearing the sign, then heard, find the prototype. As the TV was glowing brighter with red, and then the glow was gone. And we see that Kirby is gone. We then cut to a new world, and we see Kirby, who's waking up in a similar way to Forgotten Land after the VHS incident. However, when he was waking up, he saw something he didn't expect to see. When waking up, it was a big factory under the logo of Playtime Co. He recognized the logo at the factory. It was the one with the factory tour. Kirby wondered if he was brought here because he wanted to free tour to the factory, noticing that he was excited to visit the big factory. So of course, Kirby goes to the big factory, was suspected the area first. When Kirby enters the starting area, empty, but Kirby isn't bothered. And this is when we take control of Kirby. So let me explain what this concept of a crossover plays. Kirby's Playtime is a 3D platformer. Once again, similar to Forgotten Land, because obviously a 3D game would fit better since Poppy Playtime is a 3D game. Though it's not just that, of course. It's a 3D platformer beat 'em up puzzle game-ish. Because it isn't a real game. It will be a mix of Kirby's combat with Poppy Playtime's puzzle, which is a perfect mix since Kirby had mainline games that focus on puzzle, mainly in the Dark Matter trilogy of Dreamland 1, 2, and 64. So Kirby is familiar to the puzzle genre. Plus, each chapter is going to introduce a new gameplay loop to keep things fresh. Okay, let's go back to the crossover. Chapter 1 series is literally the same as in PP. So of course there will be little to talk about, except for some noticeable ones, such as the VHS that Kirby collects. Kirby will be scared about it since the last VHS didn't end well, so he halted on it for now. I mean it. You can't put and play the VHS tape after this. You should go to the office because there's actually a surprise there. Kirby would come and see the caller password there. The Kirby doesn't have the code, but then he hears a talk. He then looks at the glass and there appeared to be an angel. You realize that the letter involved an angel. What the angel say? Kirby agrees to free her. Of course, we now go to the gift shop for the password. Also in the gift shop, the toys from other chapters are here too. There are now bundles, PJ Pocket Pillars, piano sources, the smiling critter, as well as new unfamiliar toys. Yeah, there are going to be OCs, as you see with Angelica. But don't worry, I think they'll be good with this. And I'm planning and their character for most of them at least. Anyway, Kirby will notice the password, so go and tap the code and voila, she's free. You can now choose whether or not you would want to hear Angelica's playtime call explanation. If you choose no, by the way, if you didn't listen her playtime call explanation, then she'll say, Kirby and Angelica know their mission now. Find the place where Poppy lives. However, before they go, Angelica almost forgot about something. But before she can finish, a monster burst out of the ceiling, a yellow creature with two blue hands, almost like the grab bag. The yellow figure charges at the duo, but before he damages the duo, we start our first QTE, where you need to press the B button, and Kirby inhales the enemy. Angelica, shocked of Kirby. But she was caught off once again as more enemies came. However, they looked familiar. These are the missing pop star people, but they looked more toy-like and creepy. Kirby knows the situation, decides to put a serious face and do one of his classic tricks as he swallowed a trapped monster and copies its ability. He's becoming Hand Kirby. Yep, it's finally time to get into the gameplay, at last. Of course, this section is a classic beat-em up of enemy era. So let's talk about the new copy ability, Hand Kirby. So, let me explain a cool detail for the copy abilities in Kirby's playtime. There are two types of copy abilities. The first one are new copy abilities based on each bigger body Kirby and Angelica face. Then we have the second one, returning copy abilities, but are based on the hands they fit the most. However, Hand Kirby is pretty unique. Kind of. It's actually based on the suplex, but on its original idea of hand, before I put it to another copy ability. Now let's move on to its abilities. First we have Rocket Punch. Though this one is a new one. Rocket Punch, which is Kirby while launching punches like a rocket punch, which is similar to arms, as some of you remember that is. Up next we have Dash Grab. Press B when dashing to grab enemies. Hey, there's the suplex magic. When you have an enemy be grabbed, you can throw them. Then we have Rocket Game. This one's a special one. Hold B to do a charge move similar to Adeline's Charge B in Star Allies, but instead of stunning enemies and riding lanes, use rock, paper, scissors, which, speaking of them, first we have Rock, summon 3 rocks that falls down, the slowest but the strongest. Paper summons paper around Kirby to damage him, as well as paper launching into an enemy if Kirby gets hit by them. Scissors summons a scissors that attacks 3 times. Hand block. If you press B while blocking, you can counter attack with a blast. Now let's move on to Angelica. She basically acts like a separate character other than Kirby. She has a toy gun which she can only use as self-defense, and her combat style is more ranged. She shoots, which is auto-lock on, by the way, don't complain, and she has a charge shot, which is similar to Ranger's charge move. So when she lost all her health, she can be revived, either when her health slowly fills up until sing full or Kirby revive. So when Kirby has no health, is what's gonna cause a game over. So watch out. Also, you cannot only block but also dodge attack like Forgotten Land. Yay! When they exited, Kirby he tell Angelica that he kept a VHS tape. After this, you can now put the green VHS tape into its player. Of course, it plays the Leith Pierre VHS tape. Of course, it's similar to its original, but one cool feature all is Angelica talking after the tape ends. After this, if you go to the gift shop, Angelica will say this. Also, if you stand in for some posters for a little longer, then Angelica will play lines of dialogue based on the posters you are standing. After entering, we get to meet our first main antagonist of this chapter, and of course, it's none other than... You are now free to explore the hub with a few Easter eggs you can do. The first one, when you slap Huggy multiple times in the face. Do it a few more. If you high-five Huggy a few times. If you high-five Huggy after slapping him. And doing the opposite. And the last Easter egg you can do is of course pressing the Huggy button for his theme song, which Angelica will hum the theme song, which follow up with. And if you play it a few times, then Kirby himself will hum it too. With a few Easter eggs out of the way, let's resume our journey with, of course, Kirby used the blue hand and unfortunately failed. Luckily, they won't try to figure for a long time, and they hear a key jingle as they turn around. But Hunky has the keys for the power room. With the keys picked up, you can go to the power room. That's the power area, which had some changes. Mainly it's a bit bigger to connect most of the factory, at least. Those who aren't in the ground. This area will serve as a tutorial for mechanics. First one being the pylon puzzle from the original. No PP. We know it. So let's go. Wait, is that a... Say hello to Gigant Knight, the first mini-boss. Okay, he is also kind of the first boss in Kirby's Playtime, but a certain someone takes it. Now, it's pretty simple. Really, we can take every move from Gigant Edge, including the shield from Wild Edge. Though he has a new attack. There's a crack in his chest which when George will heal, he opens it, revealing a horrifying mouth. And when it comes out is an extended sword trying to hurt Kirby. And if you beat him, if you swallow the Gigant tonight, then you get the familiar Sword Kirby. Kirby's good old all-rounder copy ability, and the first actual familiar copy ability. If you don't count Hand Kirby. And its hand is the red hand, or the Omni hand, and in chapter 4, but since the Omni is just the red hand, that's a cool metal skin, we don't count it, or I don't call it. Anyway, since it is a familiar ability, then we can recycle the moves from Forgotten Land and put it in it and call it a day. Well, there is one move, or two. If you hold guard, then Kirby will use a shield on right. That's similar to the shield of Gigant's sword from, well, Forgotten Land. Also, if you press B while shielding, then you can do a parry move, or if an enemy hits you, you parry, then you counterattack, obviously. And before we continue the journey, remember those interact posters? Well, if you interact the one with Kissy, aka just standing there. Alright, now you can continue. As you will fight enemies there are also going to be some tricky puzzles. Some involves the hover, which is a little nerve as it has limited stamina now. There will also be another enemy rush, for our first actual puzzle. This introduced a mechanic for Hand Kirby, and don't worry, the spheres are back. However, instead of a star or sphere for the copy ability, you have instead toy boxes to fit the theme of Poppy Playtime. Okay, now for the mechanic, where you need to use rocket push to hit those pylons, but not the same pylons as you did before. You need to use and Kirby will pull himself into to get some extra distance. He'll teach you a puzzle where pylons can turn on and off. You need to hit them at the perfect time to get to each other. They're like those platforms where they come out and in. After this, Angelica will say, okay, we go to the first puzzle mechanic for Angelica, and of course, it's a shooting target, specifically shooting at those metal plates with an X cross on them. And when you play as Kirby, there's a mechanic for Angelica called Angel's Assist, which is her version of the Luigi's help for brothership. which I know a lot of people don't like it because it ruins the meaning of Mario and Luigi, mainly the puzzles. However, this game or concept of a game is not a co-op game. There will be a few puzzles that associate it with the work of the two, but most of the time there will be puzzles focused on just either Kirby or Angelica. Also, I forgot to mention that Angelica will gain more abilities as we go through each chapter, also, there is actually a new VHS tape or two. The first one can be found in a broken catalog, which if you use the grab pack, you grab it. Shocking. And there is a TV with a VHS actually in the starting area of power. In the start of power, sorry. And playing it was our very first new original VHS tape. A talk, which reveals some interesting changes I made for the lore. Okay, let's resume back where you need to use a charge shot to open the plates. But the charge, which by way it's the vent puzzle taken away and put it there, and it's for a reason. But then you realize there's a metal floor that's been ripped away from the other. I'm glad you asked, Angelica. You see, Kirby can still float while using his grab pack, but it's more limited since he can only hover 3 times, giving him 4 jumps in total. That's the challenge. Make a jump, then 3 perfect jumps that give you a good amount of distance. So Kirby will get into the pylon to put it into the spot thing, and voila, all done. Now the door is open. Also, after this, he has a unique dialogue when you decide for Kirby to fall down instead. And when Kirby lands, you walk a few meters, the duo hears a loud bang. And when going to the place where Huggy resides, next up is the toy room with the conveyor belt that leads into the Make a Friends machine. But first, we got a VHS tape from everybody's favorite angry worker, Rich Lovett, who are similar to the late Pierre and Eddie Rearman VHS tape. Angelica will have a unique dialogue when each VHS tape ends. And of course, this section is straight up is just for PP. So let's talk about the scene after you collect all the cubes. Of course, if you're attacking them. Okay, now it's time for the copy ability you all been waiting for. The first toy copy ability, Huggy Kirby! I'm pretty sure some of you saw it coming, but yes, as I mentioned in Hand Kirby's introduction, there will be copy abilities that are based on the toys slash bigger bodies in the form of smaller versions of them. However, the main antagonist, this copy ability will be saved in the end game, where you're closing in to the main antagonist's boss fight. Huggy is, of course, one there were. Oh, wait, I think I spoiled who's the final boss, but I'm pretty sure you guys knew it. Anyway, let's talk about Huggy Kirby. Slap, slap, clap. It's neutral B, where Kirby moves his Huggy arms first to the left, then to the right, and then finishing it with a big clap, Hulk style, but not as big as the big green. Munching, press B while dashing, so Kirby will bite the enemy. He's while running, which of course is a nice reference to Huggy's vent chase. But also, if you use this move when hitting a star, then you get healed. Well, only a little bit, but it's still good. Spin slap is where if you press B in mid, the Kirby will spin around dealing good damage. Hugger grab. Look B to have Kirby extend his arm to grab it in or star, then pull it back. Now this one's unique because when you grab it, you have 3 extra moves to do. Those being tight squeeze, which press B to squeeze them to death, but for stars they get launched spin around, which is hold B so that Kirby spins around with the enemy for 3 seconds and then throw them. And lastly, berry drivers. A berry pun of pile drivers. Press B while midair to do the berry driver so that Kirby will bring down his enemy to the ground. As they defeated the monsters, Angelica gets to talk about the Make a Friend machine. But before we can go to the final puzzle, there are 2 VHS tapes. That's right, 2. One of them is new. So without further ado, and now time for the last puzzle, which is once again ripped from PP. So let's go next to the Make a Friend machine. After this, you must pull the levers from the valve, but then yeah, basically a fair fight for each when the toys make it so about it might be a little difficult. It's easily used throughout the game, but also this is where you find the second mini boss, Grab Beast, a bigger, scarier version of Grab. The names the player look like a grab bag enemy. While I don't want to talk in depth like the main boss, I'll give a brief preview on what they can do. First off, he can use his hand punch to fly, wish it gust of wind to hit Kirby, and when in phase 2, he uses the rock paper scissors technique like falling rocks, Paper Shrinker. Do all Birdly use paper attack from Delta Moon and a scissors that attacks up to 3 times. Now, after this filler thing, I think it's time to bring the grand showdown. I know you've all been waiting for, so now it's time for the final boss. Yes, we're finally here. The final boss of this chapter, and overall the first boss if you took on. You don't count Gigan tonight in the main campaign, Huggy Wuggy. While the hand copy-esque enemies are still remaining mini bosses, the bigger bunnies are obviously the main bosses, and Huggy will be no pushover. He will not be hard, but he'll give you a challenge. Now, I know what you're thinking. How is Huggy? He is a bigger boss. It can be fun boss fight. Although weak creatures have limited attacks, it's not that big of a threat of a powerful warrior like Kirby compared to a normal human. Well, my friend, and this will be one of many changes of the Poppy Playtime's Laura's I make it as if any rudiment being a worthy order that the war did isn't enough. But rest assured, a lot will be the same as PP. Of course, in this version of the Poppy Playtime, the bigger bodies have supernatural powers based on the toys they are, or just straight up have superpowers. For Huggy's power, he has super strength and super speed, making him very deadly. Also, he can make Sonic bases for range, making making Huggy the jack of all trades. I said Kirby, since he's considered he's the first hostile bigger body. He can fit. And now let's get into his attacks. First up being Huggy Slap. Huggy will move his hand to damage Kirby. He can alter between left to right or right to left. Upwards will have Huggy Burkout to damage Kirby similar to Linegar's boss fight in FL. And speaking of Linegar, Eat is basically the Linegar biting attack, but for Huggy. I mean, it fits him, doesn't it? Next up is Wave Slam. It's self-explanatory. Huggy will slap his hand to make a wave attack that Kirby have to jump. Next up is Charging, which is Huggy charging to Kirby with medium speed that will be similar to Silly Dill's ball attack. Wow, so many inspiration for Forgotten Mana. This game was the first 3D Kirby game, and I do imagine this crossover to be 3D, so why not? Okay, now we move on to phase 2 of his fight, starting with a new variation of Huggy Slam. It's called Real Huggy Out, taking from Magic spawning on me up with this set. Unvarying of weights. Kirby would have to reject it. Two big sonic waves. That's sonic scream. And these preparing for a big attack. Always on the Kirby, but he loses it. Second, launching a kill scream beam. Also, something I want to mention is the jump scares. And yes, every boss except for the mini boss will have a jump scare. However, they're not your typical scream at your face game over jump scare. Because these jump scares will be taking notes from the enemy from Metroid Dread. The bigger bodies will heal a purple aura. Have them do a charge at Kirby where it will start their jump scare, which are in third person by the way, so I don't want fans, which will be an insta kill. However, Kirby can counter them. So you go when it's not so big or small. That's when you press B to counter, and it will be easier than Dread, but that doesn't mean it's not hard. After depleting Huggy's health, he'll then charge at Kirby, but lands on the jaws of one of the machines to make a friend, and where the machine thinks it's a toy, which isn't completely wrong, but not completely right either. Chomps on Huggy's arm, where he screams loud. Angelica saw Huggy in pain and welcome to the Huggy Wuggy's third phase. That's right, here to be clear here. Third phase of the Huggy Wuggy fight. As every main antagonist will have a third special phase is where it has a unique gimmick for them. And for Huggy's example, we're fighting in defense. Well, his fight is basically effective for Ghost boss fights, but with Huggy Wuggy instead of a weird animal fusion monstrosity. So yeah, he can meaning sonic screams and enemies will appear. Of course, he will crawl closer to make you crap your pain, as well as charging at Kirby. Also, there will be holes where the Kirby must jump as Huggy falls down, but that doesn't mean you're safe at times. There will be a metal plate thingy. The Huggy will burst out and charge either the front or back. And be careful, because this is where he enters jump scare attack, and this one can't be countered, so you will die once you made contact to it. But now you might be asking, how could I dodge it? Well, you see, will be in the wall. The joke is Huggy. Easy people. If it's the right, then it's the back. It's a back, and if it's the left, it's the front. You get the idea. But do it quickly as you have 10 seconds before Huggy he bursts out from the vent window. Create he got spooked. They take to the wall. Now let me introduce you where me. Check out this boss fight begins. Room toys is where Angelica will see that there are two paths. Both of them are bad, but you get to choose. This will add hazard that will make this fight harder. There are 4 paths in total, including the sword path where sword knights will pick their sword out like spikes from the walls. Fire path is sword path, except with fire attacks. Am I thinking what I'm thinking? Oh, so yeah, obviously the fire will continuously burst out, then peek up and peek up and peek out. Oh my god. Sorry, guys. Um, Also, if he takes too much damage off the fire, then he will run while taking damage over time. Just like a Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope, my favorite game, by the way. Ice Path will have ice in, he's freezing. Yeah, you can guess what origin and exclusive to this crossover will be. Also, Kirby has a meter. His health bar that shows how much his freeze meter fills. If it fills up, then, well, he gets completely frozen. You need to shake the joystick to free him. Lastly, we have the poison path where Cappy is coming and unleash poison. This is coming from the Poppy Playtime DLC of Dark Deception's weird multiplayer game, Monsters and Mortals. Can't believe I'm working this multiplayer game of all things. Well, when Kirby makes contact, for every 2 seconds, his Kirby will take damage a little more than what Burn does. This should spice up the bot, and I hope you like the concept. Now, I think it's time to do one big finale. Once Huggy's HP reaches 0, he will roar, and he will enter his jump scare insta-kill state, and you need to run away. Time for a classic mascot horror chase scene, but this time there will be platforms. You need to jump and hazards from the room choice that will disrupt Kirby, and you need to avoid the guess of he bursting out fronting back will appear, as well as expressive tricks from Poppy Playtime to make this chase more fun. To exit to the conveyor vent belt thingy. Jesus Christ, my wording suck ass. The door will slam down to Huggy, but his brute force will break it. After all, he is strong. Angelica asks Kirby to get up here, but Kirby looks at something. Press R trigger to have Kirby grab the box, and then press B rapidly to... And so we arrive at the catwalks. As you make it closer, you'll find the first prototype tape, and it's unique with its interaction with Angelica. When she hears the screams, she stands frozen, almost lifeless, and when it ends... Also, if you stand there at the hanging toys... And now, it's time that we end this first chapter of this crossover, as Kirby opens the door and... And now, we have the last QTE for the first chapter, where you press R to have Kirby launch his hand, and press B to...
You opened my case.